Hey guys, Sarah here. Thanks for tuning into my channel. Today we're going to be doing a full set of Gel X extensions by Aprés. First, we're going to start off by cutting off her natural length. We don't need to keep this on there since we're extending them and she's not attached to them or anything. So we're just going to go ahead and give them a quick clip. So if you haven't heard of Gel X, it is amazing. I've been using it probably 3 months after they came out with it, and I've been using it ever since. It's one of the most popular services my salon offers currently. It is a soft gel, so it soaks off like a gel manicure. It's super quick and easy to put on, and it lasts a really long time. The longest I've had my Gel X extensions last is about 9 weeks, which is a long time. The grow out was pretty bomb. There was no lifting. It's a solid product. I'm just going to be showing you guys my method for it. There are so many different methods that you can use. You just gotta kind of play with it and see what works best for you. After clipping her nails, I am just going to file the sides and make them nice and smooth. That way it's not sticking out underneath the extension. Okay, after I get these edges all filed and smooth, that way they're not sticking out, I'm going to go in with my Aprés pusher. I love this pusher. It has a blade on the end and it's at an angle, so it pushes the dead skin cells off of the nail plate while also lifting up the cuticle. That way I can get up underneath that cuticle and remove some of them dead skin cells. That way my product lasts longer and it's more likely to stick better, because if you have dead skin cells on your nail plate, your product isn't going to adhere the way it should be. If you're not familiar with soft gel, it is amazing. I like hard gel as well, but I like that you can soak soft gel off. Here I'm going in with my Aprés taper barrel bit in a medium grit, and I'm just going to go in forward on low RPM, and I'm going to trace the cuticle in one direction, and I'm going to do that on all 10 fingers, and then I'm going to go back in reverse and do it the other way on all 10 fingers again. And this is just removing the dead skin cells off the nail plate. Now, try not to dig too far into the nail plate, into the lateral fold, because you don't want to break that track where your nail is connected, because then that can lead to your nail splintering later on. It can lead to hangnails, and it can really just ruin the way your nails grow. So here we go. You can see I'm just getting into the sides, getting that dead skin cell out. Make sure you tilt your client's finger however you need. Don't be afraid to ask them to turn their hand. That way you can get at a good angle, because you want to keep the integrity of the nail flawless while also performing good cuticle work. So don't be afraid to have them move their hand to the side. So now that I got all 10 fingers done, I'm going to go ahead and clean the nail plate with NAS 99, and I'm going to brush the cuticle up. You don't want to brush down, because you're going to pull that cuticle back down. We're brushing it up. That way we can make sure we get all those dead skin cells off the nail plate. So here I am going in reverse and just removing the dead skin cells in the opposite way, because I can't really get at a good angle if I'm going forward on both sides. So this is the method that is easiest for me. But back to the Gel X, it's really amazing. I really think you guys should try it. I love acrylic. That is like my go-to, but just something about how healthy this leaves your nails afterwards. Just, it's so good. I'm serious, guys. Try it. They do have off-brands if you don't want to invest in the Aprés Gel X, just to give it a try to see if it works for you. But the Gel X brand so far is my favorite. I know that 123 E-Nail Couture has a brand now, their own little line of it, and I've heard great things. One of the nail techs in my salon actually bought it, and she really likes it, so I'm hoping to give that a try one day. And if you guys want to see a review on that, let me know in the comments, and maybe I'll buy it and do a little quick review on it. So now that I got her cuticles all cleaned up with my taper barrel bit, I'm going to go with my Aprés Boss Lady nippers, and these are a size 3mm. It's a small blade. They do have larger blades. I prefer the small blade because I feel like I can get into the corners a little bit better. I'm a really detail-oriented person, so I feel like this works better for me. And then I'm just going to take my pusher and push that cuticle back, just to make sure that I got all the dead skin off. Being careful not to cut your client's eponychium. And look how smooth these cut. I'm really not using much pressure or force. They're so sharp and precise. They're literally my favorite nipper. I've been doing nails for over 6 years now, and these are the best nippers I've ever owned. And I think I only spent like $36 US on the nippers, which you can get them online. I can link that in the description below. Now, she had a couple little frayed pieces on her cuticle. You can see them right there towards the left side. And I'm just going to push that back just to see where my dead skin's at. You can see it right there. I'm just going to gently remove that. And then go over to my next hand, do the same thing. Trim those cuticles. So after I trim this one, you can see where I push the cuticle back. And you can see where there's a little piece of dead skin that I missed. And I'm just going to get that. That's why I like to use the pusher to push it back after I trim. To make sure I get all the dead skin off the nail plate. That way my product can adhere properly and not get stuck to dead skin. Because that leads to lifting. We don't want that. Now that her cuticles are all prepped, we are going to go in with a barrel sander bit and a fine grit, and I am just going to take this and run the edges alongside a buffer just to smooth it out, just to make sure it's not sharp, because if I slip or she moves, I don't want to cut her skin with this, so I like to run that alongside a buffer. I actually started using sander bits probably a couple years ago. They always kind of freaked me out. The first salon I worked at like 6 years ago told me that they damaged the nail. That is not the case, guys. If you are comfortable with your e-file and you know your angles and you don't dig into the nail plate, they really don't damage the nail. It's 9 times out of 10 the technician not knowing how to use an e-file properly that causes damage. And I am just gently removing the shine off her nail. Again, this is a fine bit, so I'm not etching her nail. I'm just basically buffing it. With the Gel X, you don't have to etch real deep like you do with like acrylic or anything. This is one of the reasons that the Gel X is so much more healthier for your nails, because you only have to buff it. So now that this is all buffed, I'm going to go in and I'm going to spray with my NAS 99, brush the debris off. Make sure you brush upwards. I got a little bit of underfile here. I'm just going to clip off. Again, brush up, expose that cuticle. We want as much nail plate as exposed as possible. And there we go, clean, happy cuticles. So we are going to be using our Stiletto Long Gel X Full Cover Soft Gel Extension. And I am going to start by measuring her out. You want to make sure that the nail tip fits sidewall to sidewall. You don't want it to be too big and cover the sidewall, and you don't want it to be too small and expose your nail plate. These tips actually fit her perfectly. A tip that I have, because this has happened to me, if your tip is too small and you go the next size up and it's still too big, take the bigger size and file down the sides. You don't want it not to fit the nail, because this is going to lead to lifting and bubbling, and it's not going to last. Like I said, my Gel X I've had last up to 9 weeks before. So once you play with it and kind of figure it out a little bit, you'll know what you need to do to adjust the nail to the client's finger perfectly. Another tip is, since it is a soft gel and it's not a plastic tip, you can actually pinch it and kind of create more of a prominent C curve And see how this fits sidewall to sidewall? It literally fits perfectly. Like I said, these tips were made for her. But you can pinch the tip, the Gel X extension, and create more of a C-curve. And sometimes that will make it fit the nail a little bit better. You can use a variety of bits to etch the inside of this nail. These are just some examples. That one's a little harsh, but I have used it and it does work. I want something with a little bit of a tooth, so I'm going to go in with my football bit in a coarse grit. And you want to make sure you are filing the complete sidewall and towards the cuticle. You want to make sure that you're etching that fully. You don't want any little spots not etched, because then that's going to cause the product not to adhere properly. Because remember, we don't have to etch the client's nail. So this is why we have to etch this. This is why this is so important. So when etching this, I like to kind of focus towards the cuticle area and the sidewalls a little bit more, just so I make sure it blends. Don't worry about etching too harshly or too deeply into the center, but definitely try to blend out your sidewalls and your cuticle area on the tip a little bit more, because this is going to make blending the nail into the client's nail a lot easier later on. After I'm done etching the nail, I like to kind of flip it over and check from the front to see and make sure that I've got the whole thing etched. You can't really tell sometimes when you're looking from the bottom. So here I flipped over and you can see there's a little spot right there. I'm just going to hit it with my drill just to make sure that the whole tip is nice and etched up for my client. Now, you don't have to do this part. I like to do it because it makes it easier to blend it into my client's nail. I'm going to take my buffer block and just etch along the sidewall and the cuticle area. If you etch too much of it, you kind of can't see where your product's being laid later on. So I try not to etch too much of it, just where I want it to blend most. Because I have, like, accidentally etched more of the nail than I intended to. And I couldn't really see where my gel was going, and I had some bubbling. So, again, just try to do the sidewalls and the cuticle area. And I'm flipping these upside down, as you can see on my little metal palette. And I'll show you guys why in just a second. Primer. I am putting primer on the inside of my Gel X tip. You don't have to do this. Like I said, this is the method that works best for me. I find it acts as a double-sided sticky tape, and that is how I've gotten my Gel X to last so long. 9 weeks, guys. This is my little secret for all you guys struggling. Use your primer on the inside of your Gel X tip. So next I'm going to go in with my bonder. It is step 1, and I'm going to bond my client's nail. Now, I like to wear gloves. You guys will probably notice that in most of my videos when I'm prepping nails, because our fingers have so many natural oils on the nail plate. I don't want to accidentally touch that and put oil onto my client's nail plate, because then that's going to cause your product not to adhere the way it's supposed to adhere, because the oil is going to be layered on there. It's also very important to tell your clients not to touch their fingers or run their finger through their hair after you do this, because, again, oil, guys, you don't want oil on the nail plate. It will cause lifting. Your product won't stick properly. Next, I'm going in with step 2 by Aprés, and this is the primer that I put on the Gel X tip. I'm going to put a layer on her nail as well. Make sure you coat the whole nail. This is very, very important. You don't want any of the nail not prepped. Again, this will cause lifting and the nail won't last as long as it's supposed to. Next is the fun part, Extend Gel. This is a soft gel, the same thing that the tip is made of. So we're going to take the soft gel and we're going to do a thin layer on the nail. And then I'm going to take a small bead on the opposite side of my brush and dab it a little bit in the center of her nail where the apex is going to be. And then I'm going to take my nail tip at a 45-degree angle, drag it down. You see the product there at the tip of my nail. And then I'm going to 45-degree angle again. I'm going to push down. I'm lifting her cuticle up. Push down and keep that pressure going. And then I'm going to swap my hand over. And then I'm going to get my light and I'm going to cure. Make sure that I don't have any product overflowing. And then while I'm curing her nail, I'm going to lift her cuticle up with my ring finger or my pinky, whatever is working for me. You don't have to put it so close to the cuticle, but I like to. Here's a different method. Again, I was teaching a class, so I was showing different methods for my students. I'm putting a little glob right there at the end. And then I am scrape off of the nail tip, scrape it up again, and then go towards your cuticle, hold your cuticle up, and push it down. This is just a different method. I had a little bit of overflow here. You want to make sure you get that off before you cure. Again, hold your cuticle up when you cure, because if you are somebody that likes to put it super close to the cuticle, you have to lift the cuticle up, because if you don't, that product's not going to cure, because that cuticle is going to be resting on the nail tip. And look how beautiful and flush that is. That is why I like to buff the nail before putting on. Got a little bit of product in there. I'm just going to scrape it off. And then again, this is the method I use most. I was just showing an example for one of my students. So take a little glob, put it in the center after coating the entire nail, 45-degree angle, scoop down, scoop the rest off at the free edge. See that little gloop? Then you're going to pick that back up, lift your cuticle, 45-degree angle, and push down, making sure that there are no air bubbles. Check for product that's overflow, scrape that off. I just use an orange wood stick or my nail, and it's okay to use your nail if you're wearing gloves. Guys, just wear gloves. Honestly, it makes it so much easier. And you can see my beautiful client's face in the Gel X light. Hi, Jenna. Everybody say hi. So I'm going to go in and I'm going to do this on all 10 fingers. And I'm going to cure for 60 seconds after getting these set on there with my mini LED light by Aprés. I like to flash cure. You don't have to, but I have some clients that come in with pre-damaged nails from another salon. So I've just gotten into the habit of flash curing because it reduces a heat spike that a client might experience. Because if you've ever experienced that, that shit burns. It feels like somebody's holding a lighter on your finger, and I don't want my clients to be uncomfortable. So that is why I flash cure. I don't care if it's somebody I've had for years. I always flash cure every single client. So now that all 10 fingers are on and everything has been cured for 60 seconds, even though I already buffed the nail for blending, I like to go around with a fine grit cuticle bit just to make sure that nothing did leak out and I didn't miss anything. And this is just a bit of a closer angle for you guys to see. This one was a nail that my student did. Look how good she did, guys. She did the index, the middle, and the ring. And look at that. She is bomb. And I hope this tutorial helps you guys that are struggling with Gel X or wanting to try it but not sure, or students. If you guys have questions, let me know in the comments. I'll be happy to answer them. Also on my Instagram, Sarah, SARA_beauty bar. You can always message me on there with questions too, and I'll be happy to answer them. Now that my cuticle is perfectly blended, I'm just going to go in here and sharpen up my stiletto and taper that tip in a little bit more and shape it to fit her finger better. It was a little wide for her finger, and I always like to crisp up the shape anyways, so I'm just going to go side to side, and then I like to go underneath with the fine side of my file just to make sure it's all even underneath of the nail. Got a little bit of cuticle there I missed. Again, just go in a angle on each side, protecting the client's skin, and then go underneath. I know these things are super sharp, but if you sit in my chair and you ask me for stiletto nails, you are getting stiletto nails. They are pointy, they are sharp. They will dull over the next few days, but just warning you, if you ask for stiletto, they're going to be pointy, guys. If you don't want a pointy edge, then you should probably tell me that, because they're going to be pretty sharp. So while I'm shaping this up, I am going to tell you guys about the design I'm going to be doing on these afterwards. And I will have a separate YouTube video on the design. We are going to do a elegant milk bath with gold accents and some chrome. So if you guys want to see the end result of this set, go check it out on my channel. And give me some love. Let me know what you guys think. Ask me questions. My client was super fun and let me create and design the art that we're going to put on these. So, bless. I love when my clients allow me to do that. Okay, now that my nail is all shaped up, I'm just going to go over with a buffer block and smooth and blend that out. And then I'm taking it underneath as well to remove anything that went underneath my nail when I was filing. And I'm just going to make sure my shape is nice and crispy, touch up any edges that I need to do, because you can see a little bit better once the nail is chalky after buffing. Again, my black gloves come in handy because I can use that as a background to make sure that my shape is perfect. And I can see it a little bit better once my nail is buffed. So I'm just going to go over here and buff this hand, making sure everything is smooth and my shape is crispy. Alright guys, there you go. A set of Stiletto Gel X. Thanks for watching. If you like, subscribe.